Welcome back. Today I'd like to take you on the journey through doing a custom controller build. This is one that I make for Micah. Micah, if you're out there watching, I think you'll enjoy seeing this and you'll agree with some of the points that I make. Most of the controllers that I do now for the controller project are 3D printed kits, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I don't do a lot of these fully custom ones anymore, and that's because, in my opinion, there's a lot of downsides to these fully custom ones. They're just never perfect solutions. I'll get into those downsides as I take you through the build process of this one, and maybe I'll recap at the end. But before we get started, I just want to thank the people who support us. Able Gamers just gave us a big donation. Prusa 3D Printers has donated some money and printers over the years, and Adafruit donated all the electronics. So you see like the little wires and buttons that I use. That's all from Adafruit. And then, of course, on Patreon, people support this as well. Now, if you sign up for the Patreon, don't expect a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. I'm not great at updating it, but it does support the endeavors. It supports everything I do, this and then also my other art and stuff like that. So let's just hop into it. Let's talk about what this controller needs. So this is for Micah, who plays Xbox, and he uses a stick off of his head to hit buttons and things, and we've done a lot of custom work for him. He sends me a controller that is bare except for this blue thing on here, and either his occupational therapist or his mother or someone does this, and this is actually fantastic. It may not be as pretty, but this blue section here is actually sturdier and firmer than the 3D printed ones I have like this that slide on. This seems much more robust. This seems like it's going to last much longer. I should just recommend people doing this instead of 3D printed parts for the thumbstick cup if possible, because it is so sturdy. I don't even know what material that is. I'm guessing it's like a sheet of like shape lock. I'll try to find it and put a link to it down below, an Amazon link. So let me run you through the whole process of what I do for this controller.
Okay, I start off by ripping the controller apart. I have to get to the internals. I'm going to be replacing the shoulder buttons, which means I have to drill through the controller to create a pathway for these wires. They're very small wires, but I still need a pathway for them to go through. Luckily, there's a convenient spot right there that lets me access the back of the PCB. So then I feed the wire through. I make sure I've got the right spot for these shoulder buttons, and then I solder the wires in place. I've got big shaky hands and I'm clumsy, so this is a bit difficult to do without melting parts of the controller with the soldering iron, but I do get it done. It's a very tiny wire, very, very small wire for my big old fingers. You can barely see it here on video, but it's there. Once I get that soldered in place, I do hold it in place with hot glue. You can't see me do it here, but I lick my finger and mash the hot glue down flat so that it won't get in the way of reassembly. So here you see kind of one of the difficult parts is where I've fed that wire through the controller itself, and now I've drilled a hole in the faceplate as well, and I'm feeding it through the faceplate. I have to keep track of what wire goes to what button, and it would be smart for me to label them ahead of time, but I didn't. I just carefully tracked which wire went to which. And then, you kind of snap it all back together and put all the screws back in, and you've got a controller with this nasty wire sticking out the front. So then I have to score the surface. I'm hot gluing the parts on, and if you don't score the surface, the hot glue won't hold them. But once I score the surface with a knife, one drop of hot glue holds the switch in place for me to trim the wires down and solder the wires to it. So you can see that's how they go on. I just score it, one drop of hot glue, put it in place, trim the wire down to much closer to the right size, and then put it on. Now, unfortunately, this means taking the controller apart in the future is going to be a hassle and will probably require redoing all these wires because there's just not enough extra wire to be able to take it all apart, without clipping it or something. So once that's soldered into place, you can see me repeating it on both sides. I solder it into the place, I lay the wire down nice and flat, and then I reinforce everything with hot glue. That means more hot glue around the switch, and again, some hot glue on the wire itself, which like I said, I lick my finger and smash it down flat so that it's not quite, you see me do it there, so it's not sticking up. Now it's time for these triggers. Again, I have to score the plastic, and you can't see it here, but I'm drilling a hole into it and putting a screw through it. So there I am actually screwing into the trigger itself. This is not a great solution, but it works. So I'll talk more about that later. But that first trigger piece is on. And then here we're on the other side, putting the second trigger piece on. These are custom 3D printed pieces, just for mica. And so I've got both of the sides on, but there is another piece to go here for the right side trigger. And that is a lock that I designed that locks the trigger forward. Here I am just putting it where it should work and pressing it into place. It's got a screw sticking out of it, so that's marking where I'm going to drill. And then drilling into that faceplate and screwing it in. Just glue won't work. I have to screw these in or else they pop off in a day or two. So you see there, it locks it in place if you've got a rubber band around it. And there's the rubber band. And then I try it a whole bunch and test it out to make sure it's working. I have to mess with how the rubber band is on there a few times. But you can see here, when you push the trigger forward, it locks. When you pull that to the side, it unlocks. I don't recommend these. I've stopped making them. He requested it, so he gets it. But in general, they're not great. So here what I'm doing is I'm actually trimming down that big trigger piece you saw on the left side. It was too wide. Even though it looked good, it was too wide. I wasn't even using those edges. You can't even reach those edges with that piece. And they were getting in the way of pressing the little shoulder extensions that I made there. So I'm clipping this down to the right size, cutting off all the little excess, testing it out. And so you can see here, really what was needed was much smaller. And then the final piece is this toggle that needs to go on that allows you to press the A button and it toggles on and off. Again, like everything else, I need to score it. So here I'm marking this surface where it's going to go so I know where to score it. And then I'm scoring it, putting my hot glue on, and pressing it in place. Again, if you don't score it, it pops right off.
Okay, now that we've been through all that, let's go through how this all works and what the downsides are. So for mica, I use these old style extensions on the triggers that they are 3D printed, but they're hot glued and screwed in. I don't like these very much. I still do them for mica, but there's no one else I'm still doing these for. I really would like a clip-on 3D printed solution that works better, but that won't pop off. I don't like these because, well, first of all, it's really ugly. Second of all, it requires that I do it. You know, they send the controller to me, and then it's just not a great experience. I mean, I guess those are the main downfalls. It would be easier if it could just click on. Now this one specifically, it looks a little bit weird, but it's so he can push forward on the stick and push the trigger at the same time. And so I've made that section there wide enough so that he can push forward on it and even turn, and it'll push that trigger down. Now this is one that he requested that locks into place. You can see that lock right there. I'm not happy with the motion on that. It doesn't seem like it's very far. If I made it push it further, it would rip it loose down here eventually. So I don't really like this mechanism that much. I've stopped making these for people, but he requested this one specifically. And so it's on there, but I don't really, not really happy with it that much. And then there's this little switch, which I actually like. It's a toggle switch for the A button. It works pretty well. It's not perfect. Sometimes you have to kind of push down on it a little bit to get the button in. But it does toggle, so then he can switch it back off later. That's nice. And then these are actually the shoulder buttons up here, since you can't get to them anymore. So he can push those. Not a great user experience. I'm sure Micah would prefer something a little bit more polished and easy to use, but this is kind of the only option right now. And I'm going to keep making these for him until I have something better to offer. So Micah, here's your controller. I know it's not a perfect solution, but it's kind of what we have to work with right now. So there you have it. There's Micah's controller. Thanks for watching. You know, I don't know what you could learn from this, unless maybe you've got some ideas for things that would solve some of Micah's issues here on this controller. But be sure to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. And if you want to support me, you can go to the Patreon. Just be aware that I also that supports everything I do, my fiction writing, my art and stuff, as well as this. I'll see you on the next video.